What is up? What is up? Shawn and Lacey live right here on YouTube. So great to see everybody in the chat. Make sure that you check your chat. Tonight we're giving away $300, but you've got to be present to win. We have every single name of every single Black Diamond Club member,
And
every
Book
single
Yourself
name
Solid
of
member.
every single Book Yourself Solid Network member in the digital canasta. Everybody's loving the digital canasta.
Except for me. Y'all know I don't love the digital canasta. We're going to do this every week until I decide that I like the digital canasta, but I am literally staring at the beautiful golden canasta and I still miss
Creaky.
it.
No, nobody likes that. Hey, everybody's chiming in, saying hello, 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 hello. I see some
Hi,
specific docs.
everybody.
The doctors from the specific chiropractic centers are en route to Westfield, Indiana. We can't wait to host you guys. A couple of days of training. See a lot of them on. They must be in the airport or in the sky or wherever they are. You can win
Yes.
$300 on an airplane. How cool is that? Super awesome to see you guys. Make sure you call your friends. Tonight is super special. We have an incredible guest that is guaranteed to really shift your mindset around so many things. He's made an incredible impact in both of our lives, and you're going to get him for a few minutes here on Shawn and Lacey Live. But then, if you love what you hear tonight, well, why not get registered for Marketing Matters? Marketing Matters coming up November 2nd and 3rd. Our special guest will be speaking at Marketing Matters. Not only will you get to spend extensive time listening to him share his wisdom at Marketing Matters, but of course, you know how it is. Like afterwards, you're going to want pictures and you're going to want to talk to him, your personal connection to hear, all that he has to impart on you.
Well, one of the things that I love about Stefan most too is his ability to make a connection, whether you're on the phone with him, whether you see him through the TV screen, or whether you're in person. So I guarantee you're going to listen to him tonight and you're going to already feel connected, that you're going to want to ensure that you get your ticket for Marketing Matters, because trust me, you don't want to miss it. You do not want to miss this
And listen,
event.
he's in the green room, so
He
I
is
don't
in the
want to.
green room.
I don't want everybody to just a couple of things real quick. We have to acknowledge. Our producer.
Yes.
So I always mess it up. Who do you think is producing tonight's show? Yeah, I did it today.
I know. I'm
Go
super
ahead,
proud of you.
make your guesses. Who do you think is producing tonight's show? We have our producer here.
We got a Pat in
We
the
need
house.
to know. Hey, while everybody's guessing, I just
Oh,
want
wait, and
everybody
people
to
are
know.
wondering where Dexter is. See, everybody
Oh,
knows
where
the
is
energy
Dexter?
of the scene of the live is different without little Dinky in my lap.
Where is he?
He's in Florida. Dexter decided to stay in Florida. Shawn and I have been traveling a lot this last week, and it was too much to take him everywhere with us. So he is with his doggy sitter that he might possibly love more than he loves me. Possibly. The jury's out, folks.
I don't want everybody to bail, and I want everybody to be able to hear Stefan real quick, but I also got to tell everybody, I had a phenomenal time at the Pennsylvania Chiropractic Association, Kalahari Resort. You loved it. Water park. I mean, it was amazing.
It was.
We had a phenomenal time. And I'm super excited.
It was sugar. It was kids on sugar running around.
None of them threw
That's
up.
how I felt.
None of them threw up.
We don't know if they threw up. We
All
did
right.
not venture into.
Here's great
this
news
kid
for
zone.
all of you. Shank Dilly finally is coming back to Chicago, Illinois, Prairie State Chiropractic Association next weekend. Next weekend. I'm speaking on Friday and Saturday. And for all of you in Toronto who are like, hey, no fair, I'm getting on a plane on Saturday. As soon as I'm done in Illinois and Chicago, on a plane direct for Toronto. I'll be there just in time for your gala. Alliance for Chiropractic. Jenna Davis puts on a spectacular show. Toronto, Canada, first ever appearance. Shank Dilly is coming to Canada, and I'll be speaking on Sunday as well. Listen, I was starting to get a couple other texts. I don't know how long this benevolence of me willing to hit up the state associations is going to last. But I had a couple other people that were like, hey, man, what about my state? You got to orchestrate it, and you got to do it quick, and you got to get with Megan. Megan at blackdiamondclub.com. Still feeling benevolent. I mean, I'm 52 years old. Travel hasn't caught up to me totally, but at some point it does.
Babe.
And so listen, if you're trying to book Shank Dilly at your event, Megan at blackdiamondclub.com. Here's what I do know is I'm super pumped to be going back to Chicago.
It's been fun, yeah.
And I'm super pumped to make my first official visit to Toronto That's going to be amazing. From there, we have the SoFi Mastermind, the experiential mastermind in SoFi. Amazing guests are being lined up for this. I'm super pumped up about this. Lacey's pumped up about this. You got to reach out to Jane at blackdiamondclub.com. The guest list, the attendee list is spectacular. The people dropping in is going to be even more spectacular. Do not miss this opportunity. Sunday night football, Chargers versus Bears, on field suite. All of the coolest people in California, they're going to be there. From there, off to Miami, as we announced. And from there, hey, New York City. I want to know where my New York City peeps are because Lacey and I are coming to town for UFC
and hopefully
295.
we have a little mini vacation built into
No mini
there.
vacation. We're going to be meeting with people, talking to our good friends over at Ritual Tequila. We're going to
I gotta get this man to take a vacation.
We're doing hiatus. You said we're taking vacation at Thanksgiving.
I think we are taking vacation at Thanksgiving. Shawn wants to go to Las Vegas, so we'll see. But I love it. The chat is lighting up tonight, so thank you everybody. We've got guesses in for our producer. We've got a couple of
Did anyone get it right?
Baileys on there. But no, I don't. From what I can see, nobody got right. Show yourself, producer.
What's up? What's
James.
up? What's
DJ
up?
James Lewis. What's up?
Late night radio host. Sound for everybody.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be producing tonight's Shawn and Lacey Live with special guest in just a moment.
Who's our sponsor?
Tonight's sponsor is Riot Energy.
Riot Energy, folks. Get your all-natural, organic Riot Energy. Lacey and I love this. Shawn and Lacey, mostly Shawn, powered by Riot Energy. Powered by Riot. Lacey's powered by just straight up coffee. I don't drink coffee. If you're not a coffee drinker, I got to tell you, get you some Riot. We're available wherever energy drinks are sold, except for like crappy places. You got to hit up Whole Foods, Erewhon. Where else are we? Sprouts, all the cool places. Look for Riot Energy. It's all natural, USDA organic. You don't need to be pouring all those chemicals into your body, making your heart break. It's about as good as a COVID shot. Or you put a COVID shot on top of a sugary energy drink, you got a recipe for a mess. Get you some Riot. Stay awake. Be powered up. Get your B vitamins and support this show. Riot Energy. That's where it's at.
You guys, I feel like Shawn had a lot of Riot before this episode.
No. That's what I wanted to share. And I wish we had time to share with Stefan because I did today my first ever deposition. Well, and holy smokes.
Oh, wait.
Was it
We
fun.
should bring Stefan on because Stefan really helped me work through my mindset around
my deposition.
around your deposition and what's happening with you legally. Because you know that I have the potential to get into a space of worry or overthinking things. And so I've really been able to release how I feel around
then
these
everybody
things.
Give us some good energy in the chat. Let's get all fired up to bring in Stefan Lovegrove, America's life coach.
And Lacey's life coach.
Oh yeah, you should you know how many clients you'd get, Stefan, if you started branding yourself just Stefan Lovegrove, Lacey's life coach.
I know. I'm kind of hurt that the title didn't say that instead. Lacey's life coach. I'll take it.
Well, welcome to our live. We're super pumped to have you and super excited. And so is everybody else in the chat. They're all fired up.
Yeah, I got to tell you, though, Shawn I didn't get to share with you yet. Shawn did have his deposition today for a long-standing frivolous lawsuit that we're in the middle of that you and I have discussed and talked about. And it actually went really well. And as you can see, he is jazzed up about this. So where most people get stuck in the energy of what could be, Shawn's excited.
I actually got the opposing lawyer to admit on the record that he was an idiot. Like those were his words. And then he was mad because he realized they said we do have that on the record, right?
Yeah, he was not answering good questions. Well, I'm so excited. Go.
I feel like I would be convinced that Shawn just got back from a vacation, not a deposition. This is a great energy. And I just keep looking at the money behind you on the wall. I feel like I'm going to make more money because I was here. I feel like everybody watching is going to make more money because they're here. I just keep going back to that overflow visual.
Ooh, let's dive into that.
I love it. I love it. You know, it's so funny because I was like, oh, what should we so many ways and so many directions that I could go with this conversation tonight, because I personally have had so many breakthroughs working with you in my mindset. And a lot of people on right now know that I have been doing a lot of self work. And I believe self worth comes through self work. And so my journey over the last couple of years has really been diving into understanding some of my core beliefs that truly I don't want to hang on to, and how to break them. And you have been just a catalyst for my ability to do that. So I'm like, there's so many things I want to talk to you about, and we have such a short time. What is going to be the most impactful things for our listeners tonight that we can share? And one of those things was the concept of overflow. So I'm so glad that you brought that up, because for me, I worked so hard on my money mindset for so long, and I had never even run into the idea of overflow. And so I would love for you to just start off by sharing a little bit about that concept and what that means.
Yeah, so I think if we were to describe the set points with money that people have a mindset around, this is a little bit of a oversimplification, but we could say 3 main categories of set points people have, right? The bottom rung would be not enough. So a lot of us, and I'll raise my hand, certainly a lot of us heard this in childhood. Maybe we heard this from parents, teachers, religion, people in business, etc., that there's just never enough, right? And a lot of people, by the way, live their lives even beyond money in this storyline. How many people, their first thought in the morning is, I'm tired, never enough sleep. So you're starting the day from a foundation of, I'm already depleted. So one set point is never enough. Then there's a middle ground. Now, I still don't like it. Okay, I'm biased with my beliefs, but I still don't like it. But there's a middle ground of just enough. Right. And I feel like that is even a lot of people's unconscious set point is like, I'm going to pray for just enough, and I'm going to trust that I get to have just enough. And like, yeah, I want everybody in the world to have just enough. I'm not necessarily rooting for everybody to like major abundance, but just enough. And that's the middle set point. And it took me a long time to realize, even if people had heard this word or this concept, or they liked the idea of it, very few of us were trained to have a set point of overflow. And I define overflow as all of your needs are met, enough for your desires to be fulfilled, plus enough to bless the people around you and be generous, enough to have leftover in savings, and still more left over. Now, that's a lot. Like, that stretches people, but it's something I just am very passionate about. We have to train ourselves as a mindset, because most of us are at those bottom 2 rungs.
Well, that leaves the question. Well, first of all, for everybody watching, let's talk to everybody else. Hey, let us know what rung you think you're on. Be honest. That's like,
because that's the most important part, is to understand where your set point at this moment is.
Calling people out. Do you wake first thing in the morning? Do you wake up and you're like, oh, I need my coffee. I didn't get enough sleep. I don't have enough energy. I don't
have enough time.
So call yourself out. Where are you? Where are you? Where do you live? But now that begs the question. All right. Nobody, and I love this when we talk about this, and I think that you and Stefan have had this conversation. This is tough. These are tough conversations to have, with people. So nobody wants to raise their hand and say, although this group is different. Some people are saying, I'm never enough, bottom rung.
Just enough.
But it's tough to say that. Yeah. It's tough to say, that's me. I'm the never enough person. It's even tougher, though, once I've admitted that, to figure out what to do. And you help people all the time. If I want, of course, overflow sounds great. Who doesn't want that? But how do I move into that realm?
Well, this is a little sassy, but when you were saying that, I wanted to say it's tough to admit it for some people, but it's tougher to stay there.
Ooh.
Like, I'd rather, and here's the thing. I'm not saying that have always been at this point of immediately I'm going to raise my hand, but over time, the longer I did this work, the longer I worked with clients and stayed in personal development, I started to realize we're all getting results that match our beliefs, right? And not just our conscious ones, but our subconscious ones. One of my mentors says, very few people will ever question their belief system until it fails to produce a result they want. And you all have experienced this. We've all experienced this. People will be just wrong, even like just about a little thing. Have you ever had one of those moments where it's like somebody was like, this show airs on this channel, and you're like, no, it's Netflix. And they're like, no, it's Bravo. And no, it's Netflix. And you're like, this really doesn't matter. But I'm so annoyed that you don't realize you're just wrong. And so people will believe all sorts of things and never question it until they get frustrated enough that the belief system they hold can't produce the results, right? And so I have gotten to a point where I am thrilled to raise my hand and say, clearly there's a gap that I need to fill in my belief system because I'm not everywhere that I want to be. I don't have all the results I want yet. So I can either judge myself for that or I can take the opportunity to grow. And I think the biggest place people get stuck and they don't know what to do next is they immediately go into judgment. If I admit that, I'm going to judge myself for it. And I just want, like, is it icky sometimes to look at these things? Sure. But they've already been running your consciousness. So the best thing that you could do would be to face it, not in a way of, I'm going to judge myself for this, but to face it in a way of, I'm going to love myself and take this opportunity to grow. And I guess to most directly answer your question, if this belief or this belief system has not produced the results I want, the answer then is, what do I need to believe? And what belief system would produce the results?
Everybody can go home. That's it.
That's
Thanks,
it.
Stefan, for coming out. Let's draw the winners.
That's it. Everybody's good.
People are saying they can't wait to see him at marketing.
Already,
Listen, if you do not have your Marketing Matters tickets, this is why we bring Stefan on, because we need for you to know what you are going to be getting. One of the things Stefan said that I want to talk about.
Well, I want to talk about something.
You can talk about that. This is not a question. This just goes right to you.
Oh.
My friend Joe Dispenza talked about. And I think this is the most impactful thing Joe Dispenza talks about. It's been lost in all the cool stuff he's doing.
Well, because we've known him since he was just getting started.
From his start, he at breakfast one time told me, he's like, Shawn, whenever there's a gap between who you are and who you appear to be. So, to Stefan's point, your belief system. It takes great energy to sustain that gap. So the greater that gap, the more energy that you must pour into creating this belief system about who you are, about the way the world is, about all of these things. And then Stefan just dropped absolute gold. Everybody gets results, but the results are limited by their beliefs. I was just thinking, for all the people that we work with, oh my gosh, it's just your beliefs about what's possible.
And I will tell you one of the concepts, Stefan, that you taught me, and it was one line that you said that I have put in my crock pot and let marinate for a very long time, as you say, was that you cannot experience that which you don't believe. And I was like, wow, how many people want to live and experience a life of their dreams and their desires, but they don't truly have a belief system that supports it, right? And so many people wonder, how come I can't experience that? How come I can't have that? How come I can't get there? But they're not willing to look at the belief systems that they hold on to that may be inhibiting them from that experience. And man, I remember the first time I heard you say that, I was like, wow, that's for me why so many times I haven't stepped into the experience that should be mine, because I'm holding on to a belief that's not even mine in the first place, right?
And I want to make this distinction here. Desire is a great thing and a powerful thing, but notice the difference between what people want and what people believe. So one of my favorite quotes, Lacey, I know you know this one, is from a guy named Victor Bach, and he says, we don't get out of life what we want, we get out of life what we expect. Right. A lot of people really do want the thing. And honestly, this is at the heart of the work I do. So many people want things, and they've talked about them for years. They've posted about them for years. They've maybe even had them on a vision board for years. So many people want things, but they're not experiencing them. And I am so fascinated by what is that gap and how do we close that gap? And I think a huge answer to this is people want something, but their inner world doesn't match up with it. Their identity doesn't match up with it. Their beliefs don't match up with it. The way they show up in the world doesn't match up with it. And I think, to talk about the conflict we feel between what we want to be, who we want to be, and where we are, I think part of what ends up happening is people will create a temporary result, but they didn't catch up to it in their inner world. So then that crushes them. That feels like too big of a gap. They don't know how to sustain it. They don't know how to trust it. They don't know how to live into it. And so I think it's very important. It's not just about what people want. It's about what people believe, but you can get curious. There is, hear this truth today, somebody. There is not anything stopping you from stepping into a new belief today. That lights me up. I think about that all the time. I could today, Wednesday, October 11th, at the time of this recording, decide that I want to step into a new belief, and there is nothing preventing me from doing so.
Yeah.
Ooh, accept yourself.
Right.
Right. Well, and if we want to follow that thread, any old commitments you've made that you're not willing to let go of.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes. I want to talk about that. So one of the things that kind of dovetails off of that would be worthiness. So one of the things that might stop me, going back to the original land of overflow, one of the things like, wow, that sounds great, Stefan, but I don't deserve that. That's too much. Like, I had all my bills paid, I'm helping people, I have savings, and I have even more. Who am I? I should go back to just enough, because that's who I am. Talk to people that have this.
Single person watching this is worthy of everything they want. So I just want to state that and be very clear. If you're unclear about that, that's okay. You can join my faith. You can join our belief and tap into that for a second today. Every single person watching this is worthy. Now, what actually was one of the earliest things that got me thinking about all of this is I had actually a soul cycle instructor went on to start her own company, but she said, we only receive what we believe we're worthy of. Now, again, notice the role that this plays. If everybody, I really believe this might be controversial, but if everybody in the world automatically receives what they were worthy of, we would not have poverty. I don't believe anybody is worthy of suffering, worthy of hunger, worthy of, if every single person in the world just automatically believes what they were worthy of, we would not have these things. But we don't. That's not how it works. We don't receive just automatically what we're worthy of. We receive what we believe we're worthy of. Now, telling you that you're worthy doesn't just magically flip a light switch. I understand that. I wish it could. I would go over there, flip a light switch in the hallway, and turn it on for everybody. But
everybody's worthy.
Right. But what I found is when I have taught on worthiness in the past, we kind of have to do some digging, because often there's some under the surface beliefs, and it's going to look a little bit different for everybody. But what we need to find is, why do you believe it's too much? Why do you believe you don't deserve it? And it could be a belief about you. It could be, I grew up gay in a very strict religious world that did not like gay people. So, of course, that's a source of beliefs early on in my life saying you're broken, you're wrong, there's something fundamentally wrong and bad about who you are, right? So some people have beliefs about themselves. Other people have beliefs about abundance. Like, a lot of what I hear keeping people at the just enough level is people believe if I step into overflow, I'm hurting someone else, or I'm taking from someone else, or there's not going to be enough for somebody else. So that's actually not a belief about them. That's actually a belief about the world or money or abundance. But that's where we have to do a little bit of digging. Okay, you are worthy. And that is, again, that is the good news. That is the truth. What part of you doesn't believe it? And we're going to have to unpack that story.
Love it. I love it. I have one more, because you get to talk to Stefan all the time. Let's talk about how this relates.
I just have to say, Shawn really after every call, he goes, So what did Stefan say today? Because he wants to hear all the breakthroughs and aha moments that I have in my copious amounts of notes. So
it's phenomenal.
He's very excited
Listen,
to have
if
this
any of you
talk
are
with
on the
you.
fence, if you're on the fence, I mean, hey, like Stefan's done incredible work.
Unbelievable.
That's why I said for us, because working with you obviously directly impacts me. I want to talk about then, you're coming to Miami to talk about marketing. Marketing is where I think this shows up, interestingly, for the people that are watching right now. It is very difficult, and you just talked about this, to show up as your true authentic self. Everybody's out there talking personal brand. But I see a lot of people that have a big gap because they hear personal brand, and then what they do is they craft this thing. They're like, oh yeah, personal brand. I'm going to be just like Stefan Lovegrove, right? And so they make this other alter ego personal brand, and then once again, there's this gap. And they don't actually even believe some of the, let's say, marketing claims that they put out there, and that just destroys their efforts. And so I do this, and it just is terrible. It sucks. And then Lacey does the exact same marketing thing, and she gets tons and tons of clients because she was being true and authentic to herself. Help us to reconcile that. Where are some areas where, entrepreneurs, business owners, where because of this difference in our beliefs, where that bleeds into our marketing, bleeds into our prospects, bleeds into our clients, and ultimately can serve as a virus and be very harmful to our business?
Okay, well, I'm deciding how much tough love, but with love, we're gonna go into here.
Tough love.
But okay,
we didn't come here for the soft
things.
version.
No, I know Lacey can handle it, and we really do have a great session every time. But okay, let's start with this. If your personal brand is something that is disconnected from who you really are, you are setting yourself up to fail. And I know nobody wants to hear that, but I would love to save you any pain and suffering long term. The sooner you fix that, the better. Because at some point, you're going to wake up and realize, I don't want to live this charade. I don't want to live this. I'm mixing up two words. It has that sound.
Charade sounds fancier.
Yeah,
so it's good.
It does sound fancy.
It's the French version.
Right. And isn't that what we do? It's a charade because it has pretty branding and you got a marketing team to portray you as somebody other than you are. Right. But really that is a recipe for disaster in the long run. And I think also if you try to have a personal brand devoid of self-love and self-trust, it can only go so far. Because, and this is something we'll get into talking about marketing, but the reason our inner world and the inner work matters is we don't get to separate our relationship with ourselves from all the other pieces, right? We are the common denominator. So this is why I'm never surprised whether somebody's partner wants to talk about the sessions or not. I'm never surprised when somebody says, I did this work, I shifted in these things, and it spilled over here, it affected this started changing. Because it spills over, right? And we are the common denominator that's connected to all these things. So people end up feeling your relationship to yourself. And I think so many marketing problems, and listen, I'm all for people crying. I know that by the nature of the work that I do, we need to have a release. We need to let it out. But do you know how many situations somebody will come to me, somebody will be referred to me. It starts out as a business conversation. 10 minutes in, we hit something comes up really personal, and we're there. And it has nothing to do with Canva templates or team issues or conversion rates or any of these things, but it's them running into themselves. And I think this is the opportunity that every business owner has. Your business is going to be the biggest tool of reflection you have. Now, if you have a romantic partnership, if you have kids, those may also be big ones. You may have other elements in the mix. But business, especially with a personal brand, is an unavoidable, undeniable mirror that you have to look at that can be tough to look at because your communication stuff shows up there, your conflict stuff shows up there, your avoidance shows up there, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's no way around your personal brand can just not be stronger than your relationship with yourself. And when you're in a good place, then you get to figure out, how do I translate the energy that I'm living in, my actual life, my actual beliefs, my actual experience, instead of making people believe it's something else? How do I translate this into what shows up online? That's a much more fun conversation to have.
So I have a whole notebook of like my Stefan one-liners that I go back and read because they remind me of the bigger concepts that we talk about. And so I should share that with you one day. But one of the things that I remember you said to me is I was struggling with something, doing something for myself, maybe taking time off, vacation. It was something around that. And you said you have to always tell yourself what's good for me is good for my business. Because so oftentimes we put our businesses first and we don't do the self-work and create the self-relationship that's necessary, like you said, to transfer into the business what's necessary to have it grow. And I wrote that down and I look at that often because it's easy to forget about you and the relationship with self while you're trying to manage all these other things. So I say that to myself all the time. What's good for me is good for my business. What's good for me is good for my relationship with Shawn, right? What's good for me is good for everybody around me. And so I think that's a solid reminder for everybody on here, because I know a lot of you, I talk to a lot of you, and you put yourselves last, but that's not good for anything. So.
And the illusion of that is a depleted me can produce overflowing success.
Right.
And that's an illusion, because there's not a single area of your life that you would not be better equipped for in overflow. And I do mean money, but I don't just mean money. You want an overflow of like, I'm good. I'm at peace. I am healed. I am happy. I have what I need. I have what I want, because that version of you is way more likely to be able to hold space for somebody who's hurting than the version of you I used this analogy this week, that's on 10% battery, but is trying to help somebody else in crisis. That's not the version of you we need. We need the version of you in overflow for all areas. And this is where I think we can flip the story and say, if your story about overflow has been, overflow is selfish, overflow is self-centered, overflow hurts people, we have to flip the story to, in fact, I have a water bottle. This is half full, okay? So this is just enough. I have enough water to have just enough left in my Evian. I'm sponsored by Riot, so I shouldn't be holding up another beverage. Riot is a good energy. But anyway, my point is that this water, I have half of it left. If that's all I've got and someone asks me for water, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be like eyeing it a little bit, like, well, how much are they drinking? Like, I got to check. This is my only water for the day. And so notice this illusion that if we're all at just enough, or if we're all struggling, like we can find a solidarity in that. You actually don't bring the best version of yourself to the world when you're not in overflow. Right. And by the way, I just want to do a plug for their event. They didn't ask me to do this, which is why I'm saying it before they ask a question. But I just want to say, if anyone's on the fence about coming to this, first of all, did you see the location? Because when I was asked to speak at a November event, I had to check the location, okay? And I would have gone if it was -8 degrees, somewhere cold. I don't know what the weather is like in the Midwest, but this is not -8 degrees. This is beautiful Miami, sunshine, resort, etc. Yes, there's the picture. So number one, that. Number two, though, I just want to say to anybody who is contemplating, I talk to clients about decisions and investments, and I'm sitting with this all the time. And I never tell people what to do. That's not my job as a coach. But I do help people process decisions. And should I do this? Should I invest in this? What about this? And I will say, there are a lot of events that you can go to that are questionable investments. Let's say it that way. There are a lot of events that are lots of gimmicks that you might have fun with and then leave and go home and say, I don't really know that I got anything I can work with. That happens. And you might still have a great time, but that happens. There are a lot of events that are a gamble. We don't know these people. We don't know what this event is going to be. And I just really felt called to say today, I can't think of a set of people doing an event that are more experienced, tested, proven. It's not gimmicks. It's not a gamble. This is proven stuff and just straight up wisdom. And I just felt, again, they didn't ask me to do this. I'm just doing this in my free will. But I feel like there's people out there and you really do need a plan going into 2024. And I want you to have a mindset with that plan. I want you to have beliefs with that plan, and we're going to take care of that as well. But if you are heading into 2024 and you feel like I'm uncertain, I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm doing, it will be empowering for you to get a plan. And Shawn and Lacey can help you do that, and they are proven, and this is not a gimmick, and I recommend it. So I just wanted to say that. That's all.
Aw, thank you. Okay, I know we have to let him go. I know you've got stuff to do. We have to let you go. And I just so appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hop on here and share your wisdom with others. I'm so excited for people to see you at marketing. And for those of you that are coming, Stefan is going to be talking about marketing from the inside out. So for all the things that you heard tonight, I know that you can see how much value will be packed into that talk. But I also would be remiss if I didn't give you the opportunity to tell people how they can listen to you on other forums. I know that you have a lot of offerings, ways for people to engage, ways for people to hear your message, because like I said, it has radically shifted my life and has spilled over into all areas and all facets of what I do. And I know it's impacted already a lot of people listening right now, and they may not know that that trickled down from the work I do with you. So I would love for them to get more Stefan in their life. So how can they do that?
Yeah, well, you're just on time because 2023, I have more content and teaching out there than ever before, which is something I felt called to do this year. So here's the bottom line. I know that I can't sit down with every single person in the world one-on-one and dive deep into their beliefs. I don't wish I could time-wise. That sounds overwhelming. But heart-wise, right? Heart-wise, I wish I could do that. I can't. But what I am passionate about is putting stuff out there that anybody can work with to just flood your consciousness with new belief systems that you can try on for yourself, that you can sit with. You know, I tell people sometimes, if you're in a bad mood and it feels like nothing is working, that may be the best time that you need to put on something that you know will be grounded in truth, empowering, inspiring, encouraging. Even if you're like, I don't even believe those things right now, that's okay. Get it into your subconscious mind. Don't spiral in the wrong direction. But all of that to say, YouTube, we are on, as well as Apple Podcasts and a bunch of other podcast ones, but I'm still an Apple Podcast person at the core. So the Stefan Lovegrove Show on Apple Podcasts, Stefan Lovegrove on YouTube. But literally, I would just invite people, find a teaching that speaks to you and just press play. And I call them like a spiritual brain surgery and heart surgery as you listen. So you don't even have to force anything with your beliefs as you listen to them. But as you listen to the new beliefs, as you sit with them, as you hear them over and over and over, slowly but surely the consciousness begins to shift, and it's a really beautiful thing.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I gotta say this too. I mean, I love that. I feel like I saw him earlier, last week's winner, Pastor Brian Hall.
Mm-hmm.
There are people, and I have a commitment. Like, so I've been, and I love that how Stefan is so energetically inclined. He speaks about energy. There are people though that you can tell that have, regardless of your spirituality or religious beliefs, but that have this prophetic calling, right?
Yes.
He says it like, I just felt called. You find these people, what it really is to me is like it's a fine tuning. They have figured out a way to tune their frequency into those higher frequencies that we all aspire to. Because of that, it's like the radio station. People might not remember what that is, but they
Yep.
then receive that transmission, and then they say things like, "Well, I felt called to say this," or "I
Right.
felt called to tell you this," or "I just felt called
They're
to
literal
do this."
universal downloads.
Yes,
Yeah.
because they are connected to source, and I have been very intentional about trying to surround myself with people that are connected to source versus people that are just saying a bunch of mumbo jumbo. I cannot wait for you guys to spend some time with Stefan in Miami. If you don't have your tickets yet, this pretty much is last call. But I don't know how much more last calls. Like, we gave you the good stuff.
Right.
One last chance to get more of that Dom Perignon before we shut it down for the night. Stefan, you absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for having me. I can't wait to see everybody in Miami and up the marketing from the inside out. And love you too.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Stefan Lovegrove. Check it out. Everybody loved Stefan. Holy smokes. I cannot wait for Marketing Matters.
I
You know,
know.
one of the challenges that we have, and I was going to ask Stefan this, but I know he's got stuff to do. One of the challenges that we have is like, listen, this stuff that Stefan is talking about, much like Money Matters, it's challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would rather just stay in their world of just enough. That's so frustrating for me. I see people and I'm like, you don't need to be stuck. What is, like, get unstuck? And Stefan said it, right? You must make decisions to be at Money Matters. Like, I already seen
Marketing
him.
matters.
Or Marketing Matters. Oh, I already seen him on the live. Oh, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. You skipping out on yourself on November 1st and 2nd. That's what you're doing. You're skipping out on yourself. You're skipping out on your potential. And honestly, like Stefan was like, yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Well, I'm even more direct. But you skipping out on yourself, I mean, that is your belief system. That is an affirmation. You not being registered is an affirmation, either that you don't believe that Lacey and I can help you, which then why the heck are you on the show? Get off the show. You don't believe that we can help you. You don't see value in us, or maybe more dangerously,
Value in you.
you don't see value in you. You don't believe in yourself. You just don't see the value in you, biting down on that mouthpiece and investing a little bit in your future. Investing in a world of overflow. Investing in, I wonder what it feels like to have that in my life. To have a world of more than enough, to have abundance, to take care of my parents and my kids, to be able to, give freely, to support causes, to be donating to Sherman College, whatever the thing is. I mean, you have to ask yourself that. Like, tonight is a night. Like, I get it. You got stuff to do. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know what day it was. Shoot, I got a lot of stuff to do. I'll be there. I got a lot of stuff to do.
So do I.
will
And
be there.
here's what I'll say though. That's the thing that I've learned on this journey of the self-work, right? It's a journey because it's not a one and done type thing, right? You can't just listen to one episode, to one podcast, watch one Shawn and Lacey live and feel like, oh, that was great content. And now that I understand those conceptually, now I get to live them out daily. That is not how this works. The reality of that is that it's continual effort. It's continuous deep diving. It's trying to break through old neurologically embedded behaviors and ideologies and belief systems. And that can't happen in just one life. That's the truth, right? That's why if you loved this, you have to take the next step to go to Marketing Matters to do the continual work so you can have more breakthroughs and understand more concepts and dive deeper into the things that you're understanding you need to do to live in a land of overflow.
I love it. Let's give away some money.
Speaking of money, speaking of
Who
overflow.
believes that they're going to win $300 tonight? Who believes you're going to win?
The last couple weeks we've had winners.
Yeah,
right?
we've been on
I
a
know.
roll. We're just
Been
giving
on a
away
roll.
$300
Because
a week.
we are in overflow and we want to give away money
Well, he
all
said
the
we got
time.
enough to pay our bills.
I give
We
away
got
money
enough to give
and then
away money on to
it-
random people on YouTube.
and then it
We
replenishes.
got enough money
I
to
give
save,
away money and then it
and then somehow we got more money after that. That's how it works, folks.
Show me the money.
Give some money away. You'll
Okay.
see.
All right, Digital Canasta.
All right, Digital
All right.
Canasta.
Here we
Everybody
go.
watch for your name. Let's keep James honest here. We're drawing 3 names. We're drawing 3 names. When we draw your name, you've got 30 seconds to claim your prize. We're
When the
watching
Digital
chat.
Canasta draws
Yeah,
your
let's
name.
go, everybody. This is going to be fire.
Here we go.
I saw some names. I saw some names I recognize. Lori
Lori
Baynard.
I
All
just saw-
right, Lori from Louisiana. Love Lori's
Yeah.
little accent.
I know.
Lori Baynard,
I
you
love-
are the winner.
Lori has an amazing chiropractic office, but her
She's amazing. Other
bridal
business.
business
Yeah, killer.
is unbelievable.
Lori
She
is
does
an
such a good job.
entrepreneur 101. Lori Baynard, you
10
are
seconds.
the winner. We just need for you to claim your prize. I know Lori too. She'd give that money away. For
Good.
sure.
I know.
Yeah, she's such an abundant individual. She's
Yes.
probably she's shopping like for wedding stuff. For
She
other
was just
people.
on a trip. I saw her on
Oh,
Instagram.
she was
She
on a
was
trip,
like,
yep.
I don't know, Paris or Greece or I
Lori's
don't
an
know.
abundant person.
Yes.
Love Lori.
All right,
All right.
Lori.
Well,
Well, she's
we
so
love you.
abundant. She was like, I'm
she
just
passed.
rolling it over. I
She
pass
passed.
it to somebody
Pass
else.
it on. Lori passes.
Pass it on.
Next winner.
Here we
All
go.
right.
Oh, I saw Vivek.
I did see
Ramaswamy.
Stephen
Stephen
Oh.
Barger.
Barger.
How
Barger?
can I possibly be Berger?
Barger.
Hamburger.
Hamburger.
Stephen Barger. Stephen Barger, you are the winner.
Steven.
Stephen Barger.
Yeah, Steven.
Why'd you say oh, James? Like you're like, oh.
Oh, look at Hazel said she's been listening to us every week and you never
Hazel.
say her name.
Hazel.
We
I
should
say your name all the time, Hazel. Hazel. I have given Hazel more ice cream and milkshakes. Hazel, take it from me. My favorite Hazel in the whole wide world. You deserve a milkshake. You tell your
Aw.
mom, Dr. Nikki Cottis, that Shawn Dill said, I deserve a
Or
milkshake.
Shawn Dill said today that he deserved, after his deposition, a
Pumpkin
spice.
Ice cream sandwich from
Little
Whole Foods.
Lacey had to go all the way to Whole
Hazel,
Foods
tell
just
your
to
mom.
give Dr. Shawn
Hazel,
a
I'm
pumpkin
telling you.
spice ice cream sandwich.
Hazel, listen to
Trust
me.
me.
Trust me. I'm on the TV, Hazel. I know. You tell your mom, go down to Whole Foods and get you some pumpkin spice ice cream sandwiches. Hazel, it will change your life. In your short years, you have never had anything like it. And I've got to tell you, I hope that you live to be 200 years old, but you will never have anything as good as that again.
Oh my gosh.
It's just how it is, Hazel.
We got to shout out the Prime podcast right there because Skip Weiss says Hazel gets more shout outs than him. Hazel gets more shout outs than everybody.
Anybody.
All right. We've got one name left to draw.
All right. One last name, one last winner, folks. Here we go. Watch for your name. Round and round, the digital canasta goes. Oh, I saw Vivek Ramaswamy again. Kristen Gravlin. You're the big winner, Kristen.
I like the confetti. Does it always have confetti?
Oh, and I just need to clarify while we're
Kristen.
waiting, while we're counting down. I am not a pumpkin spice fan. I am an ice cream fan. And so, that's true. Everybody's saying that's true.
No, it's very true. He's ice cream everything. He's actually
I am
a
pumpkin
vanilla
spice
bee.
nothing.
Vanilla bee. He loves vanilla bean ice
Madagascar,
cream.
vanilla
Yep,
bean
that's
ice
his
cream.
favorite. But he was getting targeted with ads, Kristen Gravlin. He was getting targeted with ads for these ice cream sandwiches.
Yes,
So I had to go buy
365.
them.
All right, Kristen Gravlin, pass. She passes too. You know what that means, everybody? Good news. Good news. You are worthy, and we are going to add another $100 to the pot. That means that 1 week from today, we're going to draw 4 names, and the pot will be at $400. You got to tell your friends. Tell them to join Black Diamond Club, www.blackdiamondclub.com. It's where all the cool people are hanging out. We're doing cool stuff. We got people like Stephen Lovegrove. We've got David Meltzer. We're doing some super cool stuff. We're renovating. We're renovating the None of Your Business podcast. That's going to be
Doing all sorts of
amazing
fun
coming up.
things.
We got the SoFi Mastermind. If you're in California and you want to go to that, hit up Jane at blackdiamondclub.com. Holy smokes. We got so many cool stuff as we're reinventing ourselves, and we're here to help you hold your hand and reinvent yourself. We're going to help you to get in alignment, to be true to who you are. Once we get that figured out, we're going to give you the tools to share that message with the rest of the world. believe me, we're killing it on social media. Jane and her team in sales, they're
We're
just
working hard and
knocking
we
their
want to
socks
share
off.
it with you.
We're going to share with you all the great things that we're doing in our roles so you can apply it into your business. Because look, like Stefan said, overflow. There's enough for us. There's enough for you. There's enough for your competition. Call your competition and tell them, listen, I just figured out tonight on Shawn and Lacey Live that there's enough for me and for you. I'm inviting you to Miami too. Like, hey, listen, there's enough for everybody. And we are here to help you stake your claim to what's yours. Anything else to add?
Nope.
All right, everybody. Well, let's do it again next week. $400 and 4 names. We'll have a brand new producer. Don't forget to get you some Riot. Thanks to our sponsor tonight, Riot Energy. Get you some Riot. Make sure that you are eating and drinking clean, because that's super important, so that you're not your depleted self. That's a delusion. He said illusion. I was like, that's a delusion.
So he said delusion.
He said delusion? I thought he said illusion.
I'm pretty sure he said
Well,
it was
either
a
way,
delusion.
it's a delusion and an illusion. You can't be 100% if you got 10% battery. Recharge that battery with some Riot Energy. See y'all next week.